Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Radcliffe.
Hey, I got to tell you, this is really cool to talk to this young lady, and what she has to talk about is amazing. Her name is Martha Bolton. She's a playwright, among other things, and I'll share that with you in just a second. But she's the playwright of The Confession Musical, which is coming to theaters on February 20th, starring John Schneider and Shonda Pierce. Martha, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate the young.
Absolutely. Now listen to this. If you'll bear with me, I want to just to read a little bit of your press. All right. Playwright, prolific author of 88 books, not 87, but 88. Emmy-nominated scriptwriter, Writers Guild Award nominee, Dove-nominated songwriter. Also, and I've got this highlighted, first woman lead writer for Bob Hope.
Wow.
Wow. How cool is that?
Oh, it was very cool. It was very cool. I was on a team of all guys, and it was a great experience as far as them welcoming me onto the team and showing me the ropes. And I tend to be shy, and they would help push me along, and I owe a lot to all of them. They were just wonderful. They were legends in the business themselves, especially Gene Parrott. He's the one that really opened the door for me. And he was a writer on the Carol Burnett Show and Mama's Family. And then he's the one that recommended me to Bob Hope. So,
wow. And what year was that? I'm sorry, Dan. What year was that, Martha?
About 83, the early 80s. And I was with Bob for 15 years and in the 80s and 90s.
Wow. Now, how did you get into writing comedy, writing funny stuff for Bob Hope and how did you get into that?
Well, it's a long journey, but I started writing humor when I was 9 years old. I wrote a little book called No Fun Being Young. And then I entered a newspaper gag writing contest for a cartoon. And then they printed my gag. And just along the way, I continued to do a little bit of writing and wrote poetry, hung them up on my wall, and a lot of funny poems. But I became a church secretary, and I started.
You have to have a good sense of humor to be a church secretary.
You do, yes. And I started writing church plays, but then also what I was doing was I would, if the pastor was having a birthday or some kind of event, or somebody in the church was, I would roast them. So like the Dean Martin roast.
Sure.
Yeah. So I got a lot of stage experience of comedy that way. And then the doors just started opening up. I had never thought about it being, a career. I never even thought about writing being a career. It was always going to be a hobby. But different church people were telling me, you should be writing for Hollywood, and they put the bug in my ear, and so I started sending my material out and to different comedians, and Phyllis Diller, she started buying from me, and different other ones would be buying. And then I met Gene, and then he recommended me to Bob Hope. So it was pretty, you can see the path. Looking back now, I could see all the places where, God was leading me.
Right.
And it just opened the door, and it's been a wild ride ever since. It was just has kept me very, very busy.
Wow. My gracious. All legends there, man.
Oh, that is my. Yeah. And on his shows, they were all legends. So you were around. Oh, if he needed a line change in a sketch or something like that, we would write jokes, and then go into his dressing room to run them by him, and then he'd be in his makeup chair, and then in the room is people like Lucille Ball, Milton Berle, Danny Thomas, and you're bringing in a joke to them. So it was pretty incredible.
Wow. Well, I know we want to talk about the Confessional Musical, and we will in a second. To me, if that were me, I would be shaking in my boots.
Oh, I was.
But I guess you have to get over that, right?
I did. I had to get over that, and I had to get over speaking up in a writer's meeting because I tend to be shy.
Yeah.
So you sit there and then you get an idea, and then somebody, will beat you to it, and then you finally start. Man, I got to start speaking up.
Yeah. Right.
So I had to overcome a lot of things. I'm still pretty shy, basically, but I've had to grow.
Wow.
Wow.
Playwright Martha Bolton. We're talking about the Confession musical, which, hey, John Schneider and Shonda Pierce. We've had Shonda on the show, and she's a
She's a hoot.
hysterical. Yeah, she's a hoot. Yeah. So this is out of a series. It's called The Heritage of Lancaster County, and you had to take this and make it into something that could be performed. Is that a challenge to you? Is that exciting, or is that like, oh, this is kind of hard, difficult? How's that with you?
Well, it's both. It's a challenging excitement. So the 3 books, I read them, and you dog ear places where you think, oh, that'll make a great scene, or underline different things. And then there are some heavy topics in it. So being a comedy writer, I was looking for places where I could insert comedy, and Shonda and John are a lot of that. And so it just, we started in 2010, and we've been doing musicals ever since. I think we're on our 14th musical now. So
Wow.
The Confession was our first. So that's the one that's been filmed and is going to be out in the theaters.
Going to theaters. Yeah.
Wow. Now, was this filmed just recently, or was it filmed a while back and it's just now coming out?
It was filmed recently we did 2 live performances, and then the film crew was there. Stephen Yakes and his crew, they filmed it, and then they put it all together, and it's and that was a challenge for the actors. Shonda and John, they had to be on stage as the performance for each performance. There was about 1,000 people there each night, day and night. And so they had to perform for them, but then also they had to be aware that there were cameras going around filming it for the movie. So it was challenging, but I think we all survived and we had fun, and Shonda and John just outdid themselves. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure that was different for John, because he's used to being on camera, but not necessarily in front of 1,000 people performing live on stage, acting at least on stage.
He does have a background in musicals and Broadway. So he does have that, and so does Shonda. So they did have that going into it, but that sense of fun and just playing off of each other. John plays a kind of a scoundrel husband trying to outwit his wife and cheat her out of her money, and Shonda's on to him. So there's a lot of interplay between the 2 of them. So
that's fun.
Martha Bolton, playwright, is talking about the Confession musical. It's a Broadway-style production starring John Schneider and Shonda Pierce, and it is a 1-day Fathom event. And we'll give you details on how you can be a part of this. February 20th. So it's to plan on seeing that. Just kind of synopsis, I guess, a short synopsis. Martha, just tell us about more. We know that John's the scoundrel and Shonda's kind of figured it out, but give us a little more, and then we'll give details on how folks can see it.
Okay. There's the Amish girl who's the star of the show. She finds out a deep, dark secret that she wasn't aware of, and it sends her on a journey to find the truth. And it pits her against her parents and the community. When she leaves the community to go on the search, she's in disobedience. So that brings a lot of drama. And then she discovers what she's looking for, and then that brings even more drama that way. But it's this girl's journey of she has pain in her life that happens early in the show, and then that sends her on this journey that she wants to find out who she is. And by the end, she finds it out, and hopefully the audiences will go on this journey with us and enjoy the humor, the drama, and the great songs, and just leave the theater with a lot of hope.
Love that. The Confession musical coming out February 20th, and you can see it. It's a one-day only Fathom event. It's confessionmusicalmovie.com to find out more. Martha, we got to take a break. We'd love to talk to you again sometime after the 20th, just to kind of get a feel of, hey, how'd it go? But real quick, what are you working on in 2023? What's on your list there?
Well, we're doing our next musical, working on that right now. And then I'm also working on my memoirs, my own personal memoirs of my career. So
that would be interesting to read. You've been around some awesome people. So
yeah.
And I've got lots of fun stories with each of them. So.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you about that as well. That would be fun. That'd be a fun show. So we look forward to talking to you if you're up for it.
Sure.
Again, Martha Bolton, playwright, and the Confession musical coming to theaters February 20th, a one-day only Fathom event. Again, confessionmusicalmovie.com. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.